Growing up without Xbox Live, I didn't have many choices of what to do when playing a game. There wasn't much outside of campaign when it came to first-person shooters, and since I relocated often, I never really had friends to enjoy split screen with. My mother was single and raising 3 children, so money was tight, leaving me with few games to choose from. One of those games was Halo Reach. I played Halo Reach every day after school, beating it multiple times, each time with a different combinations of skulls activated. This is where my love for Halo began. After playing the missions religiously, I discovered Forge Mode, an editing tool that allowed me to stretch my imagination and create bases, ships, maps, and so much more. Forge was a never-ending game mode, which I often used to set up little stories in my head and silent roleplay. And since the 7th anniversary of Halo Reach was just a couple of days ago, I figured it was appropriate to make a video about the game type that made my childhood and sparked my love for the Halo franchise.
The first time I looked at Forge World and I was like, oh, hey, cool, oh, holy, you guys did what?
There's just way too much. You can't keep it all in your head at once.
It was so beyond our production capability. We were just like, that's crazy. We can't do that. I couldn't stop the artist who started creating it.
Although Halo Reach's Forge mode was often criticized for having plain metal pieces and slow controls, that didn't stop us from making things like schools or banks that looked pretty accurate. Hell, Reach's Forge mode is often looked at as a masterpiece nowadays. A lot of people even outside the Forge community have been asking for the return of Forge World, or even a Forge World 2.0. It's so iconic that forgers have recreated the entire map almost to scale for others to use. Any veteran Halo player has countless memories and played dozens or even hundreds of maps and custom games on Forge World. This one map has provided millions of hours of entertainment, hundreds of epic minigames, and free babysitting services to parents worldwide. It's hard to believe that this Forge, the one that was actually hated by some, sits so close to as many hearts as it does. For the first time, players were offered a massive canvas to explore and build on. Sure, we had some medium-sized foundries and desert caves to place crap on, and those resulted in fun and addicting minigames, but none of those maps were as expansive as the big world of Forge. Players had a decent selection of terrain to utilize. Flat areas, hangars, canyons, mountaintops, beaches, all of these could be used to create insane minigames and game types such as D-Day or the memorable Hunger Games, both of which are still being remade today. As long as you had the imagination, you could craft anything in your mind if the budget allowed you to do so. Think back to your favorite minigame from Reach. Is it Indiana Jones? Fat Kid, Assassination Tower, Assassin's Creed, Toilet Plunge, Speed Halo, Cat and Mouse, Cops and Robbers? Now think of how many times you played those game types. Chances are, if you found a good lobby, then you might have replayed those games over and over again, each time generating more laughs. Eventually, you would get bored. And what happened when you got bored? You played some freaking Cat and Mouse or something. Again, despite all of the hated features, or lack of, and common criticisms, Forge World was one of the most utilized pieces of Halo Reach and is still preferred over the god-awful Halo 4 Forge. Halo Machinima has been around since Combat Evolved with Red vs. Blue.
You ever wonder why we're here?
But the jump from Halo 3 to Halo Reach sparked a whole new generation of fanfiction videos. Although you don't see many channels built around Halo Machinima anymore, it used to be very common. People were generating thousands of views and subscribers because of their high-quality Halo content. The reason we saw such a big leap in Halo fanfiction videos is because of the new Forge. Directors had a larger array of settings, and therefore new plots and stories could be created as well. The larger canvas meant cities could be built, or a Covenant carrier could be constructed and used as a set location. A fight could go from a military compound to an open field with turrets placed on mountains above. The blocks may have been plain, but imagine areas of a set still being comprised of only crates and barrels. Because of Forge World, content creators had so many more options, which meant their fans were provided with more thrilling stories and entertainment. To many veteran Halo players, Invasion is one of the greatest game types introduced into a Halo game. And just in case you're one of the few people who are unfamiliar with Invasion for some reason, I'll give you a brief explanation. Basically, one team of Spartans or elites defends a location from the opposition. If the attackers successfully capture the position, the defenders fall back to the next location. Assuming the attackers are the better team, eventually they will have to retrieve a core and escort it to a Phantom or Pelican. Hopefully that makes sense. Invasion is an immersive and downright addicting mode that actually allows for some roleplay if you're into that. Just like Forge World, the community adores this game type so much that it's being created in Halo 5's Forge. And guess what? Many, if not most, of the maps are built on the Forge World canvas. So basically, unless Bungie released maps specifically designed for Invasion, we would only have 2 or 3 appropriate maps to play on. Essentially, Forge World is responsible for providing not only the Invasion game type itself, but also the immense replayability as well. In fact, some of the forgers who created some of the official Invasion maps are still forging to this day. So there's a slim chance that those people may not be where they are in the community without Invasion, which wouldn't have been as good without Forge World. Because of the massive leap from Halo 3 to Halo Reach as far as Forge is concerned, a new precedent was established for all future editing modes in the coming sequels. In order to keep the fans wanting to play in the new sandbox, a larger step would have to be taken between games. Halo 4's Forge may be hated by most, but credit should still be given where it is due. 343 did try to spice up the blocks by replacing the boring silver pieces with more industrial looking ones, and honestly the new blocks looked great, but they just didn't mix well together, which often resulted in Z-fighting and ugly cluttered structures. New environments and features were added as well, such as the canvas on Asteroid and the ability to magnetize objects. So the technical leap from Reach was there, it was just rejected for some reasons which are justified. But even at this point of improvement, 343 were still able to live up to the required technological leap from Halo 4 and blow our minds with Halo 2 Anniversary. Now, entire sheets of terrain could be placed, as well as a larger library of trees and other natural pieces. Scripting was introduced and you can now duplicate objects. Compared to the jump from Halo 3 to Reach, the evolution from Halo 4 to Halo 2 Anniversary was massive. And I don't even need to remind you of the gap between H2A and Halo 5. I'm not saying we wouldn't get to where Forge is now without Forge World, but we wouldn't have gotten here so fast. Taking everything I've said into consideration, you can see that Halo Reach's Forge is connected to pretty much everything we love about Halo today. There's no denying that 343 will continue to improve and expand upon Forge in the future, and I can't wait to see what we end up with in Halo 6. I know we're all praying for AI and water to be implemented, which we will get eventually, keyword, eventually. But sometimes it's a good idea to look back at how we got here, and even though it was complained about in the past, we should still appreciate what Halo Reach's Forge is responsible for today. Now, I'm aware that I skipped over Halo 3, but my focus wasn't really in that area this time around. But nonetheless, I hope I opened up some memories of yours throughout this video, and reminded you of a great game. I don't usually do videos like this, so excuse my mistakes if you will, as this is something completely new to me. Other than that, this has been Crusty, kicking it back with some old memories and reminding you to keep your Forge on. See you next time.
You'll have to get used to Dr. Malcolm.
So you two dig up dinosaurs?